Welcome back to the 20-Minute Gamer channel, Marines. Man, I'm just gonna say it. This game chews you up and spits you out. Don't get me wrong. I made some pretty bad choices, some really awful choices during my first playthrough, and I paid for it later on. You know, you hope that you learn from those mistakes, and you hope that you're in a position where you can correct them as you continue to play a game. However, this game, similar to XCOM, any mistakes that you make early on, they have this way of compounding, right? Well, over the course of my playthrough, I believe that I really did learn what I missed out on and how I would correct those in my upcoming hard playthrough. At a base level, though, I believe that there are only three things. There are just three things that make or break your success in this game. And if you can get a handle on monitoring these three things, you should be able to make replaying on any difficulty easier. All right? So we're going to go over those three things right now. I'm not going to belabor this anymore. Let's get into it, Marines. All right, so number one, I'm calling gameplay foundation. This is not a combat-focused game. As much as it feels like it at times, and as much as it seems like a really hot concept to have a squad of battle-hardened Colonial Marines taking the fight to the Xenos, the hard truth remains, just like in the movies, our Colonial Marines are grossly overmatched. The Xenos have heightened senses, hearing, a hive mind for seamless thought connectivity, flesh-tearing claws, teeth, and spear-accurate tails. We have 10mm caseless and walkie-talkies. All right, this was my biggest failure in the game. My number one failure in this game was not really understanding the gameplay foundation. I tried to take the fight to the aliens. Don't do that. Don't be like me, at least not early on. When in the first couple of missions, your priority is leveling up your Marines. Take your time. Go slow. I mean, don't even run unless your motion trackers clearly show there's nothing in the area. I mean that, for real. The aliens will about face if they so much as hear a door open. The biggest bottom line you need to contend with early on is absolutely staying out of fights. You need to solid snake the living shit out of this game early on. The fights are going to happen, don't get me wrong. You're going to get your shot at some really epic gunfights in this game. But first, and in the meantime, just take the time to get your Marines back, safe and sound. On those first few missions, getting everybody back to level up is extremely important. You want those upgrades. You want those increases to armor, bravery, accuracy. Those things are going to be more beneficial than hard charging in the first mission against the Xenos. Trust me. Trust me, you won't regret it. The second thing is stress, or I should say stress management. Man, stress. This game takes team management to a whole different level. I know that there are some really, really in-depth team management games out there, Battle Brothers, War Tales, but not managing your stress in ADD properly will cripple your team. And I actually mean that on both sides. Your team stress and even your own stress. This game does a great job of imposing stress on the gamer as well. Early on, I really didn't think that the stress management was as important as it actually was. I know that the trailers talk about it, and I mean, the tutorials are popping up. Hey, stress management, rest your team. I mean, sure, I thought it was a cute feature, but how important was it actually? Aliens inbound? Who cares? Rock on. Well, I found out the hard way. You need to manage your stress. It's very, very important. If you're new to the game, maybe waiting to see how it all plays out, listen, managing your team's stress is probably one of the most important aspects of this game. I don't care what anyone else says. If you do not rest and if you do not increase outside factors that mitigate that stress, you will impact accuracy, command point access, and also cause additional stress, just to name a few things. This game does a pretty decent job of imposing those elements on your Marines. So how can you manage the stress for your Marines? Well, first off is just paying attention to the stress levels, right? It sounds simple, but try to rest when you can and keep them in the white. As your Marines experience stress, and as those stress levels increase, your Marines will become exposed to traumas. Now, random traumas will wind up being assigned to your Marines. Now, most of these traumas also impact stress. They're very stress-driven. One or two of them are not as stress-driven. Obsessive increases the reload time, but for the most part, all of these traumas impact the stress that your Marine gets. So if you wind up having a Marine that gets any one of these traumas on mission, it is going to then also compound the amount of stress that they take over the course of that mission. Can you imagine if you wind up having a Marine that has a xenomorphobia and the Marine takes stress damage each second when they see a xenomorph? If you wind up having a bad run and you come across a couple of different xenos over the course of that mission, this could definitely increase the stress that this one particular Marine suffers from. I think the second thing I would recommend in managing stress is just keeping a good tab on how many med kits you have on hand. If there isn't a possibility for you to weld a door and actually mitigate that stress by resting, then having med packs on hand to utilize the Naprolev is going to really benefit your Marines. That's also another thing I think kind of people roll their eyes with, like, yeah, of course. But sometimes you just aren't paying attention to the small things. Sometimes you're in the zone and you're hard charging a mission and you're not thinking about the small things like tools, retribution, command points, med packs, ammo count. And these are all things that come along with the team management aspect of the game. And they're all things that can kind of help manage that stress. So that's my number 2. Let's move on to number 3. My third point is retribution and command points. And geez, this is another one that I really screwed the pooch on. Your command points replenish. Use them. This isn't some limited resource. Yes, they can be a bit slow on recovery when spent, especially early on, but please use them. I did not use my command points effectively early on, and I paid for it. Take time to spawn motion trackers all over the map. Do an outer and an inner cordon. Use your motion trackers. Place one at every hive location, wherever you can. Get tons of overlap. Use reprimand as often as you can. Command points are one of the best ways to gain the advantage in this game. The Xenos definitely have the upper hand here, so command points are there to help level that field. Using them to drop the motion trackers, like I said, it just, the intelligence you gain from that far surpasses. I will walk the entire map with 0 command points as long as I have enough motion trackers out to be able to know when I can run, when I need to walk, and when the shit's possibly going to hit the fan. You're able to, the motion trackers you're able to deploy with command points are indispensable. There is no equal. Reprimand will also come in handy once you unlock it. As you're pressing through certain missions, reprimand will really help mitigate that stress. And at a bare minimum, if you have reprimand at your disposal, engage it each time infinite onslaught or an oncoming onslaught happens. Every time your Marines are faced with a Xeno engagement, you can expect to see those stress levels rise. And they can really increase exponentially. Reprimand will help make sure that your team keeps their shit together during those engagements and that they don't get psyched out. Just something to consider. So there you have it. Just a brief video of the 3 things that I believe are the absolute most critical to surviving in this game. I'm sure that there are really expansive lists out there 5 things, 10 things, 15 things. You know, these are the top 20 things. These lists could go on and on and on. But if you're really just kind of looking to narrow it down to a couple of key details, and these are all things that do not impact the way that you play the game. These are all things that are woven into the fabric and the foundation of the game as we play it. So being aware of what these things are and using them to your advantage is what is going to save the day. That's all I'm going to say on it. I'm not going to drag this out anymore. Marines, everybody, the viewers, the subscribers, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you for everything. We will see you on the next one. Stay safe out there. Nick out.